Aline arrives in the kitchen and asks Willian, "What are you doing there?" She answers, "I'm cleaning here." Aline says, "Get something for my husband to eat, because I'm going to the mall, and I shouldn't be long, and that uniform of yours, you have to improve it, you have to iron it, you're not very presentable." Willian responds saying, "No, Donna Aline, I passed, but I was in the tank washing clothes, but you can see." Aline agrees and says goodbye. Pedro goes to the kitchen and tells Willian sorry to arrive like this out of the blue. "I'm listening to the way Aline is treating you and I think she's getting too hard on you." Willian says that he doesn't have to worry, and Pedro says, "And that we have talked so much, and I see that you are such a good person, you don't deserve to be treated like that." And Aline, since she met these new friendships, she is transformed, she doesn't know how to treat anyone. Willian says that he noticed, but he had thought it was all in his head, but Aline has really changed. Now she talks about my clothes, the perfume, but I'm not going to talk about it with her, she, and my boss, but if I continue I'll ask for the bills. Pedro says, "You're crazy. Don't do that, and you know what, I would easily fall in love with you, a warrior woman who takes care of her children and helps her family, even though it's not much what we pay you here, you run after." Willian answers him, "Wow, I was even embarrassed when you made me the compliment, but you need a real woman." Pedro thinks that Willian is such a good person, am I in love with her? Later Aline arrives and says, "I loved my shopping today," and calls for Willian. Willian says, "Hi." Aline speaks, "I'll show you a chic and wonderful essence, and if you understand that." Aline shows the perfume to Willian, and she praises how beautiful it is. Aline is still beautiful. "You don't understand his smell," Willian again praises, and says that she was already smelling it. Aline then splashes the perfume on her, and in a rude tone, asks her to smell it. Willian praises it, and says it's very tasty. Aline reciprocates saying, "And it's a shame because it's not for your beak, you'll never be able to buy it, so thank me for your smelling that wonderful and leave." Pedro was listening to everything, and asks Aline to come back. She says, "Hi love. Look at the perfume I bought." He again asks her to go back to the kitchen. She asks what happened. He keeps insisting, she says, "But what did I do?" Then, Pedro asks Willian to stop what he was doing. Aline mocks and starts the little show. Willian, without understanding, asks what happened. He refers to Aline and asks, "What did you just do?" Aline says, "I showed her my perfume, chic, fragrant and wonderful. She will never smell that smell again, because she has no conditions." Pedro asks, "And do you have a condition? Which card do you use?" She answers, "Your card." And Pedro asks Aline, what was the reason for having changed so much? Aline replies, "Pedro, for the love of God, everything that is yours is mine." He says, "After you met these friends, you are someone else, nose up, arrogant, stuck up, and besides all you are still poor." She questions him about talking like that. He ignores and says, "We came from a poor family." Aline asks now, "Are you going to get mad just because I talked to her about the perfume? Will defend?" He answers, "It's not because you just blew 2 cards, buying trinkets one after the other, and besides, every day you humiliate Willian," and asks her, "Do you think she should go through this?" Aline says, "Do I humiliate her?" and asks Willian, "Do I do that?" Willian says, "No, Mr. Pedro doesn't need that." Aline says, "I never humiliated her, I adore this girl." Pedro asks Aline to come down from the jump, and that she's not all that, calling her a meddler. So Aline says, "I was going to take a shower," and he says he takes a shower. Ended. You don't have a house anymore, you don't have a wedding anymore, you only know how to spend my money. If you think I'm wearing an expensive dress 5 or 6,000 reis, do you think I was born yesterday? She asks him to take it easy, and he reciprocates by saying that he needed a woman. Aline says that she and Willian were playing and asks Willian to confirm. Pedro asks Willian if Aline would have had the same attitudes other times and asks her to tell the truth. Willian answers, "Then or Pedro, she doesn't treat me very well, but..." Pedro angrily tells Aline that she should be ashamed. Aline agrees and says it will get better. Pedro says that he won't trust and that she thinks she really had to be alone, and he wants to know something while you go out with your friends in the car. because you talk to everyone world that has money, but you don't even have a car to drive, you're just depending on me, spending my money, and I'm not happy with you anymore, and while you're not here, I'm here talking to Willian, and I realized that she is 1,000 times more woman, and she is a warrior woman who helps her family and mother. Annoyed, Aline says, I'm being cheated on in my own house? He says no. Aline turns to Willian and says, are you his little maid, hitting on the boss? Pedro says there was no intention at any time, it's not her fault, I'm the one who's in love, it's your fault, you're absent from the house and all you think about is money, no money, because you don't really have money and you want to know one thing, I'm fed up with a person like you, it's been 10 years since you've only taken my money and my peace and humiliated people, it's over. I want you to disappear and go to your friend's house. Aline says I can't take this humiliation anymore, and you're trading me for it? Pedro asks Aline to have respect. Willian says he's leaving and Aline interrupts her and says no, you stay, I'm not going to stay here humiliating myself. Pedro says you don't even have anywhere to go, you go and go to the street. Aline screams and asks him to stop talking in his head, calling him ridiculous. Willian speaks, for the love of God. Pedro says I can't stand her spending all my money anymore. Willian says, but I didn't understand, did you say you're in love? Pedro says, the truth is that you are the type of person I expected, but I actually thought it was Aline, but I can see that in you, and now it's up to you if you want to be with me? Willian says let's see with time. Do you think she should stay with him?